Dave Stahl is here to help you avoid expensive mistakes and ripoffs. This is You Oughta Know. You Oughta Know. With the car guy, Dave Stahl, on Intelligent Talk 1170 KCBQ. Call now, 888-344-1170.
All right, folks. Hey, welcome back. You're listening to the You Oughta Know show. This segment's brought to you by Express Auto. Today's show is a little bit different. Normally it's, full-blown automotive, and, every once in a while I'll sort of go left field. We'll have the robotics kids in here, and we have this room full of kids that build robots for the high school, and it's so much fun. And these kids are all bright-eyed and bushy-tailed. Has nothing to do with cars, but, hey, you know what it does, because those are your future engineers and designers. So that kind of explains where Janet F. Williams came from. She sent me an email, and she has a book that says, "You don't ask, you don't get." And there are proven techniques to get more out of life. And it's not a trick to make you a millionaire. It's not going to teach you how to do the real estate business. It's going to teach you, and I haven't read the book, and I do apologize, but I will read it, and we'll have her back again, because then I can talk a little bit more intelligently about it. But, the whole thing about you don't ask, you don't get, it just makes you a better communicator. It makes you a better negotiator. And you'd be surprised, like the lady that called up that was at the grocery store and the produce manager, and I used to work for Safeway, so I know those old bananas should not have been there. Those things should have been cleaned off and in the back, out of the consumer's eye, so that they don't see these nasty-looking bananas. She noticed it. She did a positive thing. She likes banana bread. I do too. So she took them up to the front, and she says, "Hey, you can't sell these. What's the deal?" And boom, she got it. Excellent concept on you don't ask, you don't get. But unless you're comfortable doing it on an everyday basis, you need a little bit of guidance. You need a little bit of understanding on how you do the presentation. And we have Janet with us today. And I think, don't you agree, presentation is probably the biggest part of this, if you don't ask, you don't get?
Presentation is certainly important, and that's why I have one section devoted to how to ask for what you want. The technique that you use, if you're going to ask over and over, if you're going to ask nicely, if you're going to pump up the emotion, the way you use your body language as well as your voice, those all convey a message. And we are talking about communicating here.
What about ridiculous? Say I walk into, I'd love to do this, walk into Bob Stahl Chevrolet, which I'm not related, because if I was, I'd be at the beach, and walk up to a black Z06 and just say, "I want that car, and I'm not paying for it." That's unreasonable.
That's unreasonable.
That's not going to happen. So don't buy the book and think that it's going to tell you how you can go in there and make that happen. Now, what it may tell you is, if you're asking for something, and I haven't read the book, and I bet you it's in here, if you're asking for something that it's not going to be easily attainable, then you have to bring something else to the party. If it's not money, you got to bring something else that'll make them more comfortable giving you what you want.
So you could go into the dealership and say, "I want that car and I'm not paying for it," but you need to give them something of value in return.
No different than you with your Hoosier tires.
Yes.
Me, like I had a Mini Cooper for a year from Breck Mini. And what did I do? I promoted it. I went to the Wine and Balloon Festival with it.
You did something for them.
Exactly.
Absolutely.
But I didn't write a check.
But that's okay, because you gave them value.
Right.
But that's in the book, correct?
Oh, yes, that's in the book. And what you asked for, it doesn't have to be something major or something that's just a little bit more than what you might have. It could be anything. Some people just don't have their voices yet.
Right.
They haven't found their voice. They
It's
don't know how to ask.
That's confidence.
Some people have been taught not to ask, or that it's improper, it's impolite.
That's true.
Especially women have been taught not to ask. They're told to be nice, and sometimes asking goes beyond that.
Will your friends get mad at you if you've asked and gotten something and they don't get it?
Well, they I don't know if mad is the word. I think
or
maybe
resentful.
Envious.
Right.
And you say, "Well, buy the book."
Yes.
To give you an example, one of the local television stations before I was working full-time with KUSI said, "You know what? We really, really, really would like to get an Aston Martin DB9 convertible on TV."
And
I said, "Yeah. Well, who have you talked to?" "Well, we've talked to the dealer. They just won't give it to us. And we've been trying for a year." I said, "A year? Any color?" "No, just a DB9. "Okay, but nothing. I mean, you don't care if it belongs to does that belong to a movie star?" No. We just want to put the car on there. It's called Kyle's Cool Cars. I went, all right. So I called up the dealer and I said, "Hey, Dave Stahl, I'd like to pick up a DB9. I'm going to put it on Channel 8. whoops, well, I wasn't going to say it, but Channel 8 on their Kyle's Cool Cars, and that is a really big segment. And a lot of people watch it. Oh man, what time you want to pick it up? I said, well, they need it for Wednesday. How about if I pick it up Tuesday night and I'll just bring it back to you Wednesday morning? Fine, no problem. I went down and picked up a $135,000 car, took it home, had some fun with it, took it into the dealership, or took it into the station, and they could not believe it. They were so flabbergasted. But it happens all the time. The station now I work for, KUSI, says, we'd really like to see a great big monster motorhome. So I went and got a $500,000 big old monster motorhome, which I couldn't stand because I couldn't drive the thing, couldn't park it anywhere. But I brought it to KUSI. Well, how'd you get this thing? Oh my goodness! Yeah. It's only because I gave them something in return. So it's easy. But if you're just going up and you're just Joe Dokes and you walk up and just say, I want that, you're not going to get it.
No. People are thinking, what's in it for me? They're thinking, I want this car. And they're not thinking about what's in it for them.
Right.
Everybody's thinking what's in it for me. I'm thinking it. You're thinking it.
And you know what those people that own those big dollar ticket items, those are just product. It's not what it is to you. You go look at a Mercedes, let's just say.
Yeah.
An AMG 55, and this thing is just, but you at the dealership, it's just stock number 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. It's a commodity.
That's right.
But I want that thing, one of those type of deals. That gets in the way. We got to take a break. Right here on KCBQ AM 1170. This is the You Ought to Know Show. This is the Dave and Jan and Janet show. How's that? We can almost,
that.
Yeah, you like the Dave, Jan, and Janet. And we'll be back in a moment talking to you about, if you don't ask, you don't get. So stay tuned right here on KCBQ AM 1170.
Guess you better slow the Mustang.